Hello guys, and welcome to another hangout with the International Force Rape Timeline. Pre-recorded again for obvious reasons. I'm being literally shadow banned to death. I'll spare you the details, but anyway, this is the anatomy of a trawl. This is specifically about one case which was added recently to the Force Rape Timeline, but I'm going to go into the background. I've discussed trawls before. There's a dedicated video about trawling and weaponisation. I'll put a link to that below. This is, it's added as 2 entries, but it could be 1 or it could be half a dozen. On November 5th 1986, a teenage girl tells the staff of a Merseyside children's home she was raped by 2 men in Salford. That's the first line. Well, that's the first entry. The second entry is June 15, 2006. The Court of Appeal quashes the convictions of John Siddle and Ian Brooke. Now, these 2 men were working at children's homes in the north of England. In 1996, the woman who made that complaint in 1986, she was then a teenager, an underage teen. In 1996, she came forward, that wonderful feminist expression. She came forward and accused these 2 men of sexually abusing her. They were tried and convicted. 10 years later, their convictions were quashed. Their convictions were quashed for no single reason. I'll put a link to the actual page. I've called this Operation Clyde because that's what it was. When this woman came forward, the police set up Operation Clyde, which was a massive investigation into children's homes, care homes, whatever, in the north of England. And I have here, this is from the Innocent Challenging Miscarriage of Justice Since 1993 website, with some press, WordPress actually, innocent.org.uk.wordpress. Again, I'll put a link. Claims of theatrical attention seeker leads to questioning of 2,226 people, dated 2006. Yeah, she was a theatrical attention seeker. What it was, she bunked off from this children's home with another girl on November 1st. When she returned, she claimed to have been kidnapped by 2 men, well, met up with 2 men who took her to a flat in Salford and raped her. The claim that she was raped by 2 taxi drivers and 12 Asian taxi drivers, either on a different occasion or a different embellishment. And this is the following article is a reproduction from the September 2006 edition of Faction, the magazine of falsely accused carers and teachers, which the acronym FACT. This was absolutely incredible. On the basis of this one malicious little tart, she was underage, but she'd clearly been having sex with I don't know who. She accused these 2 guys who were convicted, and please forgive the yawning. I don't know where you are, but in London the heat is oppressive. She accused these 2 guys. The police came in and they went trawling for victims, and of course they found them. Another bloke named Jolly was tried but acquitted. The disturbing thing about this is that the Kirklees Council called in the NSPCC to work with the police. And it says here, the NSPCC, on a 3-year investigation which dug up allegations by the children against social services and educational staff going back to the 1960s. A total of 2,226 people were questioned, 42 arrested and 3 convicted. And 2 of those convictions, as I say, were quashed. So there's only 1 conviction I'm not sure who that guy was, but even he might be innocent. So, I mean, a 3-year investigation. Think about this. Think about the opportunity cost here. 2,226 people questioned of offences from 10 years ago and going back decades. Think of the opportunity cost. Think of the crimes, the real crimes, including the actual rapes the police could have been investigating at that time. But they like easy targets. You know, I mean, these cases are. Oh dear, I probably really apologise for that. She said he denies. In some cases, he said he denies. It's absolutely outrageous. I've got here. This shows how bad it is. This is abuse advice for survivors.co.uk. 4 as in the number 4. This is from well, these are people who make money off it, basically. St George's Children's Home Group Action. Cut-off date Friday the 30th of June 2004. St George's Children's Group Home Action comprised anyone who claims to have been abused while residing at St George's Children's Home, also known as Clarence House. That girl's at Clarence House, Freshfields, Merseyside. Because the cut-off dates passed so long ago, any new case would have to be pursued outside the group. Whilst it was current, most cases settled, but now time delay arguments would have to be very carefully considered. Let's go here. Let us help you. To get in touch with us, click the email link or fill in our contact form. And the contact form is, if it comes up, this is Scott Moncrief and Associates Limited, Temple Chambers, says the barrister. Well, I mean, Temple is a barrister, so I don't know, a law firm. And it's it's really outrageous. This you got at the top about who am I and what do I do? I've been a solicitor since 1981, so she's a solicitor working with barristers. I've been a solicitor since 1981 and specialised in abuse cases since 1994. So I've been qualified for over 40 years and dealt exclusively with abuse cases for over 25 years. To view my awards, click here. These awards. Well, it's got some 10 legal awards, 25 child abuse group actions, 10 legal awards. I mean, just absolutely outrageous. This free advice. Click on that. You have to send him a message. But they said they go trawling for victims, and of course they find them. Now, what I will say about this particular case, if you live in the UK, you're probably aware of the so-called grooming gang scandal. The police have come in for a lot of criticism over this, much of it justified. In particular, they were turning a blind eye while girls especially in the north of England, not only north of England, Rochdale and other places, but they were being abused on an industrial scale. In the words of Jack Straw, men of Pakistani heritage who regard young white girls as easy meat. Having seen this case and other cases as well, I don't have any sympathy for the men who are convicted of these offences, but I have precious little sympathy for most of the so-called victims. I mean, girls of this age shouldn't be riding around with taxi drivers, Pakistani or otherwise, and decent young girls don't. As I've said this before, when I was at school in the 1960s, there were girls of 14, 1960s, early 70s, there were girls of 14 having sex regularly with boys of the same age or very slightly older. But girls of 13 and 14 shouldn't be riding around, shouldn't be out on the town, shouldn't be doing things like this. But you can understand the problems that they cause, because they go out and they get involved in things they shouldn't be doing, and well, it's some of them need to be locked up. These are girls who had troubled history. I'm not sure how troubled this one was, because she's abused everyone except Uncle Tom probably and all of, well, including Uncle Tom probably and all of sexually abusing her. On this abuse for survivors website, under the tab types of abuse, this is child sexual exploitation, familial, rape and sexual assault, ritual. Now this is ritual abuse. One description of ritual abuse is when one or more children are mistreated in a highly organised manner by a group of people who are banded together and subscribe to a belief system that, in their opinion, justifies their conduct towards that child. Well, I disagree with that. This suggests these people, when this happens, and that don't believe they're doing anything wrong. Our thanks go out to NAPAC. Now, if you're not familiar with NAPAC, it's the National Association of People Abused in Childhood. At least that's what this guy calls it. It's actually a National Association for People Abused in Childhood. I'll put a link to the page on the timeline. It was founded by a bloke named Peter Saunders, who's a nutter, certifiable nutter. He registered this organisation with the Charity Commission on May 29, 1998. In August 2019, it came out that in February 2008 he'd been accused of rape. What happened was he saw this woman on TV who was talking about being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. He was very impressed with her. He went up to Manchester to meet her, but maybe to recruit to the organisation. I went to a restaurant. He went to the toilet and she followed him in there, and she accused him probably of oral rape. The CPS decided to take no action. He didn't learn anything from that. He didn't learn anything because a decade later he was still spouting a decade or more later he was still spouting this rubbish. He was eventually forced to resign from the organisation over a relatively trivial financial matter. Anyway, thanks to NAPAC for the following definitions. This will get you. Ritual abuse usually extends into family involvement and may have been practiced as a religion or a way of life for years. Although survivors speak of differing experiences, many elements are common. Usually fantasy. The ritual may arise out of a cult or group of people who are led to believe that abuse is a necessary part of the particular ritual. Well, it thus, within the group, becomes justified, but obviously for an outsider, very wrong. This sounds like it's all about witchcraft here. Criminal gangs, the Ku Klux Klan, Nazi cults have all been known to practice ritual abuse. Since when has the Ku Klux Klan ever practiced? I mean, seriously? Examples of ritual abuse which may sound familiar and which have arisen in the press are witchcraft, which seems to have derived from certain African communities who have immigrated to England yet persist with such behaviour towards children. The child is punished seemingly under the instruction of a village/local witch doctor. This actually includes ritual murder. There have been, well, at Kew, what used to be called the Public Record Office, you'll find files relating to ritual murder in as late as the 1950s in Africa, for which people were hanged. Female genital mutilation, again originated in Africa, where a girl is cut as part of her initiation to adulthood in a local community. I'm not sure I'd call that sexual abuse, but it's certainly horrible, you know. Satanic abuse. This abuse is used to gain ultimate control over another human being by torture of the mind, body and spirit. It can happen at any time. It was likely to coincide with a child's birthday and on satanic holidays. Satanic holidays. Anyway, they're pushing all this nonsense. It gives you a list of effects of ritual abuse. A child dissociates, and multiple personality disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, self-harm, eating issues, suicidal thoughts and attempts, confusion of concepts of good and evil, all sorts of stuff. Memories of being tortured and or being drugged during rituals. Most of this is fantasy, but they go looking for this, and they interview kids who or adults who were kids at the time these events have happened. They put ideas in their heads, and you'll find there are lots of miscarriages of justice on this on both sides of the Atlantic. In Europe, even down under, it appears to be a largely associated with the Anglosphere, but it happens in other countries as well, where English isn't the first language. So that's, I mean, there's a lot of money in this. There's a lot of money. NAPAC, they're nutters basically. There's a lot of money for lawyers, and they're arguing about statutes of limitations and extending them. I say statutes of limitations, that's specifically for bringing civil actions. As you say, as you can see, that one was limited to 2004. But there are no statutes of limitations for criminal offences of this kind, which, again, this is very bad because it means fantasists can crawl out of the woodwork. The police they'll go to people who are out of school or in a care home or whatever, and they'll invite them to make open allegations against. But maybe in some cases there definitely have been maybe one person or a couple of people doing things, usually quite minor, which they shouldn't have been doing, and the net expands and all sorts of people are falsely accused, including at times women. So it's just complete nonsense. This, I mean, the police need to be concentrating on real crimes, and crimes of the moment. It's not as if that they haven't got. I mean, they can't find the time to investigate a lot of burglaries and other real crimes because they're policing people's language on Twitter and even arresting street preachers. It's absolutely ridiculous. They should be wasting precious time and resources on scams like this. Talking of statutes of limitations, this is something I missed. There was a consultation document issued by the government, His Majesty's government, limitation law in child sexual abuse cases. Ministry of Justice. It was issued on the consultation from 15th, not very long actually, usually longer than this. Consultation began on the 15th of May this year and ended on July the 10th, which shame I missed that. And it's basically about civil. I think it's about. I haven't really studied it, but it's about civil cases. The government recognised that child sexual abuse is completely abhorrent, and I want to pay tribute to the victim. Who's this? This is Lord Bellamy KC. Executive summary. I can't really. Well, I could close the window, but I'll suffocate. So please excuse the trains in the distance. This consultation paper seeks views on options for reform of the law on limitation in child sexual abuse cases in England and Wales. Specifically, it considers the recommendation by the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse (brackets inquiry on limitation law). It also examines the law on limitation in child sexual abuse cases in other jurisdictions, and it's about I think it's about bringing cases for civil cases. So it's not that again, this is all a racket basically by ambulance chasing lawyers. There need to be proper statutes of limitations in the criminal law and in the civil law. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. There were lots of well, quite a few trawls on this website. You know, you should not believe any of these historical allegations uncritically, and most of them are just I say for the time and resources put into investigating them, they detract from real crimes, including rape, even murder, which could be investigated by, because you can't. Again, it's the concept in economics of opportunity cost. Anyway, I'll get this online. I'll put a link to the various pages. Please let me have your thoughts. I'm continuing to add cases to the full scope timeline, not so much at the moment because I've got other fish to fry, so to speak, and also, although I'm over the illness, I'm far from 100%, and this weather is that's killing me. It's killing a lot of people. So anyway, let me have your comments, those who wish to comment, and I will hopefully make another hangout for next month.